Hi, this is Aryan, and welcome back to the Code Bakery. Today, in this React series number 3, we're going to be reviewing the useEffect hook. So, in the last episode, what we did was we introduced the useState hook, which allows us to use variables and interact with variables in React. Now what we're going to be doing is sort of seeing a branch of that with the useEffect hook, which is another useful tool built into React that enables us to manage and sort of interact with our variables. So right now, just to establish a baseline, from the last video, this is what we created, where it simply says, "Hi John," this is a prop, and then this is a variable that we can either increase or decrease. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sort of introduce the boilerplate code for the useState effect. In order to import the useState effect, all you have to do is write useEffect. So it's very similar to what we did with the useState while importing the useState hook. Now, unlike the useState hook, useEffect has a very different syntax that you use. useEffect is treated kind of like a function, where this is the boilerplate code. So this is essentially, it's treated as a function, and then whatever code you want to write here is going to go inside the curly braces of the useEffect function. So code goes here. Now, what happens is React operates on a virtual DOM, essentially meaning that what happens is when we change our variable, the information on the page changes, and that means that the information on the DOM also changes. And just for some more clarification, the DOM is essentially what the user sees on the screen. So it's all of the elements, all of the different colors, all the styles. That is essentially the DOM. And so now, useEffect, the boilerplate code is actually this, where you add a parenthesis, a sort of a object array at the end. So useEffect, essentially this function gets called whenever the virtual DOM, which is essentially anything on the screen, gets changed. And so right now, what we can do is just to test it out, so we'll write test. We'll call useEffect on, when anything on the virtual DOM changes, we'll run console.log test. So now we can compile that. Now let's just wait to see. It says compiled successfully. Now let's go back to our program and click inspect. So if we go to the console, you can see test already got printed out because that is the first time, because our page already got rendered one time. Now if we change some content, let's see what happens. So as you can see, test does not get printed out. I think that's because you need to continue. And so as you can see, yeah. And so this is the proper boilerplate code of useEffect, where essentially it's a function that is now going to respond. It's going to get called anytime something on the page gets changed. And so as you can see, every time we increase our variable or decrease our variable, you can see that test is getting printed out in the console. Something else, the next thing that's important to note about useEffect is its sort of uses in only responding to the changes of certain variables. So for example, what we could do is we have a variable called counter, and so we can specify that we want to call useEffect only when our variable counter gets changed. And so if we save that, we can see it's compiled successfully, and now let's reload. As you can see, now when we change counter, we can see it's getting changed. And so now let's talk about some of the uses of useEffect. One proper use of useEffect that I've personally used has been, let's say we're designing an e-commerce app. So sort of like Amazon, people are going to go to our website, choose what they want to buy, and then check out. One proper example is, let's say we have a product, okay? So, "Hi John, how much of our product do you want to buy?" And so now what's going to happen is this is going to be the counter that users are going to use to decide how much of the product they want to buy. So it's going to start at 0, and then what we want to do is we would want to say, let's say the user wants to buy 2 things. Each time the user changes this value, we need to update our program and talk with the server saying this is how many products the user wants to buy from us. And so each time this value gets changed, we need to have a function that notes that down and then performs the necessary actions. So we don't have any server code today, but in a real working project, what we would do is in the useEffect thing, we would just write contact server with data change. And so that data change would be taking counter and sending that over to our server, updating that the user wants to buy X more product or X less product. And so that is just a quick example of the possible uses of useEffect and how useEffect sort of responds to changes on the virtual DOM and changes in our variables, and how we can sort of apply useEffect in real scenarios to create real professional products using React. So yeah, that was a quick introduction to useEffect and some of its applications within a React app. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time in the next video in our React series. Thank you.